Good afternoon and welcome back to the vlog. Opened up real quick. Oh yeah. Oh, it's so bright. It's super bright. If you have been watching the videos on like the rod bearings and stuff, it's probably been a couple weeks since then, but forgive me. You know, money's a little tight. We're trying to do it on a budget. We don't want to go excessive and spend money like we used to. But a little update. Nobody knows what's really going on unless you probably followed a little bit of social media. Obviously we got the motor put back in and we're waiting right now. Everything's been put back together, was ready to start. I had to re-drop the fluids. Initially when I took this car apart, it didn't have many miles on it from its first build, but the rod caps were obviously on backwards. So we situated that, put new bearings in it. Found out that a spec clutch, it was very fresh, a spring-loaded clutch, sent the spring for a ride with the pressure plate and the actual flywheel and the disc as well, and it was grinded like halfway down by the time we found it. So I called spec up and said, hey, you know, this clutch isn't very old. Can y'all hook it up? Can you make it right? Clutch is very fresh. The motor's still very fresh. They ended up making it all right, I guess. They gave me a credit for the clutch that I had and only charged me like $200 to go to a non-sprung loaded clutch that was a 6-puck as well, just to kind of stay away from the problem it had initially, which is a spring coming out, which I've never seen before. In the process of sending them the old clutch for inspection and my current flywheel, since they are the builders of the spec lightweight flywheel, from what I gathered on Facebook, apparently a CNC machinist from spec may have grenaded my existing flywheel while trying to resurface it, and then went and just grabbed another SR20 flywheel and went and resurfaced it and then just sent it on and didn't count the teeth on the flywheel. So initially I sent them a 108 tooth starter flywheel because this is obviously below a 96 year. I believe anything below 96 on an SR20 is 108 teeth and everything from 96 and up is 109. I don't know where a 111 tooth fits in. I don't know if it's an S15 motor with the VTC notch top assembly, but right now what I literally have is a 111 tooth flywheel. So we got everything put back together like 2-3 weeks ago. Went to go start it up. I wasn't getting anything. So I took the starter back out, everything looked fine, put it back in, still nothing. Rotated the motor manually, and I rotated the motor manually, and I was able to get the actual starter to line up and actually come out and engage, but it was going very, very slow, sounded very awful. I sent the video to a bunch of people that I knew, and none of them really knew what was going on. Kevin Andrews, the guy, Mr. Owl, that you always see me going over to his house and stuff, he said, hey, maybe they sent you back the wrong flywheel. And I said, dude, there's no way they could have messed it up that bad. There's no way that is possible. So I even went and got my old starter tested. It was kind of noisy after you run it for a while, much longer than you would need your starter to run for to start your car, but it sounded noisy, so I bought another one. A new one came in. I believe I bought it from ISR, if I'm not mistaken, put it in. It turned it over even less than the OEM starter, and it was having more issues than the OEM starter, just trying to turn it over in slow motion, so to speak. So I sent that starter back, called spec, told them what happened. They denied the possibility. They got kind of ill with me. I got ill back at them. You know, they told me that if I didn't lose my attitude, that they would hang up the phone or whatever. And ultimately ended up admitting that they may or may not have switched the ring gear. They wanted me to pay shipping back a third time and fourth time, secondarily for the second time, and that they would fix the problem for free. I'm like, I shouldn't have to pay for this measly $50 shipping that you should cover if you guys obviously messed it up. But they basically blamed me and said that they didn't know how it happened, and they don't know how it would have happened. They had a reading for a 108. Well, that's great, but I took my starter out and I counted it with paint. I counted each tooth. It took like 30 minutes to rotate the motor manually and count each set, but I do have 111 teeth. Not sure how that happened, but I have since drained all the brand new fluid out of the engine and the transmission so that the transmission can be dropped, pull the clutch back off, take the flywheel back off. I'm going to send it to a place in town. I'm going to let them order a 108 tooth ring gear and let them put it on just to steer clear of the drama that I had with spec. Unfortunately, I had an event coming up the 27th. If you know anything about it, it's out in Holt. It's at Emerald Coast Dragway, and it's supposed to be a great time. I started out drifting out there, and then the track shut down, so it's finally getting brought back years and years and years and years and years and years and years later. That being said, I will not be able to make it because of this flywheel ordeal. I just wouldn't have enough time to get everything done properly while getting the flywheel and everything back in and breaking miles on the fresh bearings to do so. So, I also found out that I would need like a fire extinguisher and a bash bar. My OEM bash bar is not there, so I will need to do a custom bash bar, which is obviously nothing compared to what we've done before. We'll be able to finish that, no problem. Me and Kevin can build that in a day, whatever. That being said, we're basically waiting on that. A couple other issues that I knew I wanted to cover with you is that we had the broken oil squirter in here that went for a ride, so we put a new squirter in, but found out that one of the brackets, there's 3 brackets for the oil squirter, one of them that held the cam in was actually stripped on this side, not the inside, but the outside of the bolt was stripped, so we ended up having to tap that out, put a helicoil in there, and it actually held up, so it's doing great. We haven't had a chance to test it yet, but that was an issue that we ran into. That being said, we did get that situated. We got a brake line tuck, which looks really good. A lot of other stuff has come along quite well. The new math piping and everything that came out pretty good. I'm going to do a video on the math piping. It's right here. It was actually only $50, and we'll do a separate video on that. But I just want to give you guys an update and let you know, because obviously I'm ready to get this car going, get some tuning videos and drifting videos and racing videos. There's just so many plans for content that I have with this car, and it's simply not ready yet. But I will end up dropping the trains out tonight, and I'll probably end up putting that in this vlog as well, and you will be able to see how it goes, and you will be able to see the finishing of the car, because it should be done in about a week or two, depending on, you know, the process that we go through. But if I don't add that footage in there, if this is your first time, you do have a 40 or you do have a 240, may have you, and you like racing, you like drifting, this is a channel for you. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. I'll leave videos and the links for the rod stuff so you can see the building of this whole car, because I basically documented everything so far so that there's an actual build to follow. Just make sure you like and subscribe, and we would appreciate it. But hopefully you'll see me in just a minute, or that'll be a different video altogether.